What better way to celebrate France than toasting with one of their most iconic beverages? We are talking about champagne, of course, and here to give us a taste test is Nancy Parng with Moet and Chandon, one of the world's largest and most prominent champagne producers. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, thank you for bringing this. What did you bring today?
I brought with me today the flagship wine of the Moet and Chandon house, which is Moet and Chandon Imperial Brut.
Oh my goodness. Champagne is one of my favorite things, not just to have on this show, which you've seen it before, but in general, every celebration I feel like starts with champagne.
Absolutely. I think one of my favorite quotes from Moet and Chandon's biggest fans, Napoleon, was, "Champagne, in victory we deserve it. In defeat we need it."
You know what?
Sounds like every day.
Napoleon Bonaparte and I are not that far off. I feel that way myself every day.
I can absolutely relate to that.
So let's talk about the history of Moet and Chandon. It's almost 300 years now. I mean, if Napoleon Bonaparte was drinking this champagne, it's been around a while.
You know, from Moet Chandon's perspective, it's been 300 years, or nearly 300 years, of craftsmanship in history that goes into every bottle.
And I have to say, the skill at which you opened that bottle with is impressive. Did you hear it was barely a hiss?
It's supposed to be just a whisper.
Just a whisper, and look at how she's pouring it. Is that why the bottom has a hole in it, is to hold it?
You know, that's a great question. The punt at the bottom is more for the production of filling the bottle. However, as someone who has poured many a bottle, it helps me direct and control the pour. But not a requirement.
Okay.
Yes.
So as you're pouring that champagne, let's talk about champagne. Where does it come from?
Champagne, like all fine wines, first and foremost is a place. It gives a sense of place. And Champagne is one of the most northerly wine growing regions. So if you drew a line from where Champagne, France is, all the way to North America, pulled it further west to Seattle, it actually lands further north. It is at the 49th parallel, which is where Vancouver, BC is.
Oh my goodness.
With one big difference though, it does not have the maritime influence of the ocean. So it's a rather harsh wine growing climate.
Oh, okay. So it's a little bit, it's inland, which means you're not getting that influence of the sea air. So it is inland, but it's still kind of cold.
It's colder and it's hotter. So it experiences all four seasons in its full effect.
So when you're producing wine in that type of region, you have to be very, very careful with the grapes. And I understand thank you.
Of course.
There are a variety of grapes that are used to create Moet and Chandon.
Yes, so in every glass, especially when you smell it, I think it really conveys the three main grape varietals in Champagne.
Oh my.
You get that vibrancy of the citrus, and that's from Chardonnay grape. When you take a sip, there's a boldness to it, a structure to it, that is primarily the Pinot Noir grape.
Okay. This is why
I'm
like literally, my mouth is watering. Is that wrong? Okay, here we go.
It is not wrong.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To you. You can smell it. It just, Oh, that is beautiful.
That toastiness.
Oh, and it's so
and
alive.
There's a nice fruitiness, but it finishes crisp and dry.
That literally, it feels very alive when you taste it. And this is when they say it's a party in your mouth. This is literally what it is.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Let's talk about, is that what the magic is? I mean, is all the different varietals you mentioned. You also told me that the bubbles are created in the bottle.
Yes.
How and why is that special?
With champagne, so not all sparkling wine is champagne. Part of champagne's allure, mystique, and the quality is that in every bottle of champagne, they're required to age it and also blend in some older wine. So at Moet and Chandon, they have over 100 different wines that they've blended into every bottle. About 20 to 30% of that is in fact aged 2 to 3 years, blended with fresh wine. Now, part of the reason why they do that is because they want a consistent house style, because it's so further north in the world. It's tough to have a great harvest every year. So one way to produce a high quality product is that art of blending. Making sure they're getting the best of every year, aging the wine to give it extra complexity, a little bit more nuance. And then finally, because the bubbles are created in the glass, what I mean by that is that when the yeast turns the grape juice into alcohol. They stay in the bottle. In Champagne, by law, they rust it with that yeast. That yeast gives it that characteristic of toast and bro we mentioned earlier.
Right.
And you can't take any shortcuts in making that. There's just
you
no other way.
got to take the time.
Absolutely. I think the best analogy for foodies is that it's kind of like dry aged steak. It changes the chemical component, the chemistry within that product, as well as the physical component. I mean, it's very technical in that sense, but it also makes it a lot more delicious. And you can't just make dry aged steak happen like that. It takes time.
The science of this is so fascinating to me, and it is so beautiful. And I guess that's what sets it apart. And I think it's important to note, and I'm sure many of you already know this without me saying, but not all sparkling wine is champagne. And when you're talking about how the differences and things are made, can you tell us why that is the case?
I think in Champagne, to maintain that quality historically, because they didn't have as much technology as we have now, the idea of aging and blending the wine came from that. Because it's so far north, it's just one of their ways to make sure that every bottle of true champagne has a minimum standard of quality.
And it can only be called champagne if it is from that region, correct?
Correct. That is correct. For those reasons, because by law they're requiring a minimum aging time. Moet doubles and triples that.
I wanted to mention the glasses that we are drinking them out of. Yes. Oh my goodness, mine is empty.
I have a bottle.
No, Nancy. Oh no.
We can solve it.
Thank you. And as you're filling this up, I have to ask, you have come here, these do not seem like traditional champagne glasses. Tell us the reason for this shape of glass. And I will hold it still for a minute so you may see it.
That's a great question. So these resemble what most of us know as white wine glasses.
Yes.
And a big reason for that is I love the iconic flutes, I love the coupes, but when you're drinking a true champagne, because there's so much aroma in that glass, when you smell the citrus, the white fruit flesh, a little bit of that pear and apple note to it, just like any fine wine, when you drink Burgundies or red wines, you have the larger vessel, right? With Prosecco or sparkling wine, you can certainly use a flute. I think with Champagne, because it sits in that nice middle ground of a really beautiful white wine, a vessel that resembles a white wine gives your nose all the access to that flavor. And we mostly taste with our nose.
And that's right. Flavor science has shown that it is your olfactory, your nose, and even through the back of your mouth too. So you need that, I guess, wide space to be able to get your nose in there and taste the nose of the wine, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I have had a pleasure learning with you and drinking with you. And cheers to nearly 300 years of Moet and Chandon.
May all your pain be champagne and all your joys be true joys.
I love that. Oh, thank you. All right, well, when
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. You are welcome here anytime.
Be sure to bring a bottle.
Thank you.
The New Day Northwest Kitchen is brought to you by Safeway.